Hello, I'm Dan Marr from the Nashua law firm of Hamblett Kerrigan. I've been practicing in New Hampshire for approximately 36 years and in Massachusetts for approximately 28 years. And today I'm going to be talking about political speech in New Hampshire and how it affects your workplace. We're in late August right now. We're about to get into the primaries in the state, and then thereafter, for the federal level, we're going to be in the presidential elections, which both the gubernatorial race right now, you can see some attack ads that are already out there, and there's going to be a lot of that going forward in the national presidential area. People have strong opinions. They have strong opinions not only as to the candidates, but their positions on certain things. And in the workplace, in the private workplace, you should understand that the freedom of speech right, your constitutional freedom of speech right, is from the government affecting your free speech. And that doesn't apply to your private employer. So while your private employer is generally not going to be interested in challenging you and challenging your job because you have a different political view of them, the employer generally will get involved if you are creating friction in the workplace because of your political views. You're saying something that's rallying up other people against you, or you're getting into yelling matches as to your political opinions. The employer generally is going to step in and they can fire you for that. So you don't have rights, you don't have freedom of speech rights in the private workplace. Public workplace, it's a gray area when you're a public school teacher or other situations. There's more gray there. But I'm talking about the general, what most of us have a private workplace. There is something called concerted activity in the workplace. The National Labor Relations Act, a federal law, states that not political speech, but you have the right to talk about your employer to your fellow employees. Concerted activity, even if you're not a union shop, this concerted activity law, as the National Labor Relations Act, applies equally to union and non-union shops, whether you're in a collective bargaining position or you're not in a collective bargaining position. It applies to generally the rank and file, not higher up, not the management there, to be able to talk about their work. They can talk about what they're making for a salary. I don't recommend it. I think it's you generally don't want to find out what your coworkers are making, and also if you're doing that, you might cause some friction between you and your fellow workers, but you're allowed to do that. Certainly talking about why your boss is not a good boss, or why you think that you guys are getting paid too little compared to competitors out there, you're allowed to talk about that, and the National Labor Relations Board will be taking action if the employee files a complaint because you as the employer go and say to these employees, hey, sometimes the squeaky wheel doesn't get the oil to get replaced and you're getting fired because you've talked too much. When you do that type of stuff, when you say you're creating friction in the workplace because you're talking about us being the boss amongst your employees, those are all trigger words for violation of the National Labor Relations Act concerted activity, and you got problems with that as an employer. So you can't do that. You should be concerned about that. For an employee, though, you want to also be concerned about what's your trajectory up the corporate ladder. It's going to be difficult for you to move up the corporate ladder, particularly into a management position, if you're one of those ones who are always talking about how bad management is. Management's never going to agree that they are making any decisions based upon that if they're smart, and certainly if they're getting counsel from me, but they're humans, and if you're attacking them, they're going to be thinking about that. So you want to think about that issue, but understand going forward into the fall, into the state primaries and into the national elections and what's all going on in November, keep to yourself strong political opinions. You also don't want to create friction with your fellow workers that you otherwise have a collegial work relationship with, because now they think that you're a bad person because you have a different view than them. People think that way. They shouldn't, but they do. And I would recommend refrain in talking political speech in the workplace. If you have any questions, you can contact me at Hamblett Kerrigan, Dan Marr, at 603-883-5501. That's 603-883-5501. Or check out our website, NashuaLaw.com. We have these podcasts on there. I've also done radio shows For a while, I stopped it last year, but there's quite a bit of useful information in our website. Thank you.